Good morning. This is Mike Herschel with Florida Drupal Camp, and I'm going to do a series on the Florida Drupal Camp website talking about little components, and the goal is to talk you into coming to Florida Drupal Camp. Florida Drupal Camp is February 18th through 20th in 2022, and we're in person. So through this whole series, I'm going to be talking about things like site building, how we built the site, how we're building different components. We're going to talk about accessibility, and we're going to talk about the front end. Today we're going to talk about the video component on the home page right here, and how we made it accessible, and how it kind of looks pretty good right here. So let me just talk to you about this video component first of all. This video was actually shot by Matthew Connerton back in I think 2016, and we've used it for different iterations of the websites. And for this particular design, we cropped it and made it a little smaller and fit it right here. So this video has a couple different features. Like number one, it has this play pause button at the top right here, and you can also click on the video and it will trigger this play pause button. If you refresh your window, or if you travel somewhere else and then come back to it, it remembers your setting. So it does that using local storage. And in addition to that, if you don't have your settings set and you use if your system is set to use prefers reduced motion, it will disable it by default. And this is an accessibility setting right here. So if you have the operating system flag turned on that says preferred reduced motion, it will appear in a pause state. So I'm going to show you this right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and remove the setting that we stored right here, because that takes precedence. And then we're going to go into the rendering drawer right here, and there's an option down here for emulation, and there should be an option down here for prefers reduced motion. So I'm going to enable this. I'm going to refresh, and you're going to see it's going to be paused. And then if I hit no emulation, it should just start up. But if you manually pause it and start it, it respects your particular setting rather than this too. So I'm going to walk you through some of this stuff. I'm also some other things I want to show you is I want to show you some focus states. So if you're tabbing through, if you're using keyboard navigation, it's very important to see where you're going from an accessibility standpoint. And we have a focus state right there, and you can see the focus state is actually inset a little bit just to make sure that it's very visible. So you can kind of see it. I can hit enter right here. This is a standard button element right here. You can kind of see the button, and as I press this button right here, you can see there's an ARIA pressed attribute right here that goes from true to false, and that lets the assistive technology know that this is pressed or is not pressed. The label on the button right here just says pause. We do not change that label because the assistive technology will indicate if pause is active or if pause is not active, and at that point that kind of indicates to the user that whether it's playing or paused. So let's go ahead and look at the code right here. So the code, first of all, let me get back to this right here. The code is all available on GitHub at github.com/mherschel, FLDC22. I'll put that in the tweet link, assuming I can get this on Twitter or YouTube or whatever. And so let's look at the code really quick. So the first thing you're going to see is I have like a page.tpl.php, and I break all the hero stuff off into a little include just to make things a little bit easier. And then so I have this hero right here, and everything is kind of organized through CSS Grid. You can see up here I'm attaching a site hero library. The site hero library directly loads the JavaScript and the CSS and things like that. I hard code the video in here because we're not going to be uploading multiple videos. There's no reason to create a different content type for this. So you can see the attributes that I attach to this right here. I have loop, autoplay, muted. So these basically kind of like put it like almost like an animated GIF mode where it doesn't make any sounds, it loops and everything like that. This plays inline attribute right here is necessary for mobile Safari devices, so it'll actually play on like your iPad and stuff like that. And then we have a source element. This actually points to the video right here. This video was compressed using FFmpeg to make it as small as possible. The poster attribute will load the image. We're using WebP for this, so we don't support early, like very old browsers like IE11, so we can use modern image formats. We're using WebP, and we have a width and a height set on this, and the width and the height set will kind of tell the browser to hold the space for it, so you don't have, you know, your content jumping around. So that's it right there. So going into the JavaScript right here, we're using Drupal Behaviors. Now we don't have to use Drupal Behaviors right here because we're hard coding it in a template. It's only going to be there once and it's never going to appear via Ajax. But we're using Drupal Behaviors right here to just as kind of a best practice right here. So if you're not familiar with Drupal Behaviors, it's basically a JavaScript API within Drupal that will run the JavaScript against any data that gets Ajaxed in. So in this particular case, it's run once, and we're using the new once library, which is a new library that's published by Drupal on npm, and basically it says only run this one time. So basically we have this init function, and we're only going to run it the one time. So the init function is just everything else up here, and at that point what we do is we attach all the event listeners, we do everything in here. So walking through this code right here, you can see we define the video and we define the pause button right here. So that's pretty straightforward. And at this point, what we do is we check that prefers reduced motion setting right here. And if that is active, we go ahead and pause it. Then we go ahead and we look to see if the user has previously played or paused the video before, and if they have, we respect that right here. So if video autoplay is set to false, we pause it, and if it's set to true, we play it. We have a couple event listeners right here that just keep the pause button in sync because we don't want to programmatically play the video, but the pause button still indicates that it's paused. So we actually attach an event listener to the video using the HTML media element API, and we go ahead and we say like, hey, if it's playing, set the ARIA press to false, and if it's pause, set the ARIA press to true. The CSS, if you were to look at the CSS is actually like looking at that ARIA press attribute to set the icon right there. And then we also add a event listener to the video element itself, and that allows us to actually click on the actual video, and all this does is it triggers a click over here, and that's really nice if you're on like a mobile device or something like that. You can actually hit that button, you can actually click, you can actually tap on it, and it'll pause it, and that's just kind of a nice little user experience improvement right there. And as it loads right here, as this init function currently fires, we just make sure that that button matches the ARIA pressed value matches what it's set, and then we kind of set some event listeners on the button itself. And that's really about it right here. All this code is available. There's a lot going on right here, but it's not terribly bad, and I have everything documented. And this kind of all together, once it fits together, it's a pretty accessible video right here because it respects that prefers reduced motion. It gives you this nice clear button on how to play and pause it, and it has some nice focus states. So once again, Florida Drupal Camp is in February. The average temperature in February in Orlando is 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and y'all should come down and visit us. We have a couple cool featured speakers, including Christina Chumias. We're going to do a Drupal Association Board of Directors Q&A, and we have another featured speaker that we're going to announce. And yeah, so I hope to see everybody soon. Bye.